You probably think of yourself as a good, law-abiding person. Here's the uncomfortable question. What if that has almost nothing to do with whether you break the law? I'm not talking about bank robbery or hacking government systems. I'm talking about small, ordinary things. Things you've probably done this week that are technically illegal in a lot of places. And here's the part that actually makes this a psychology video and not just a legal one. It's not that you don't know better. It's that your brain has a whole set of shortcuts for making rule-breaking feel fine, even when it isn't. Things like normalcy bias, diffusion of responsibility, moral licensing. Don't worry about the terms yet. You'll recognize every single one of them by the end of this list. Quick disclaimer. Laws vary a lot by country, state, and context, so I'll flag that as we go. This isn't legal advice. It's a look at the gap between what's technically against the rules and what feels like nothing. 12 things. 12 blind spots. Let's go.
Number 1. Using someone else's Wi-Fi. You're at a friend's place. Your phone auto-connects to their network. You don't even think about it. In a lot of jurisdictions, using someone's internet without permission technically counts as unauthorized access, sometimes under actual computer crime law. Doesn't matter that you only wanted to check Instagram for 10 seconds. Here's the psychology. This is what's called normalcy bias. The assumption that because nothing bad has ever happened from doing something, nothing bad can happen. Your phone has connected to 100 networks without consequence, so your brain has quietly reclassified unauthorized access as just what phones do. The law doesn't update itself based on how normal something feels.
Your risk assessment does, and that's the gap. 2. Downloading movies, songs, or ebooks for free. Let's be honest, almost everyone has downloaded something from a sketchy site at least once. Downloading copyrighted content without permission is illegal in most countries, whether or not you're making money from it. So why does it feel so victimless? Because of diffusion of responsibility. When millions of people are doing the exact same thing, your brain quietly does the math. If this were really a big deal, it wouldn't be this common. The crowd becomes evidence that the behavior is safe, even though the crowd has no actual legal authority to make it safe. Some people have paid real fines for a single download. The math your brain did was wrong. It just felt right. 3. Using cracked or pirated software. Free Photoshop. A cracked copy of Windows. A totally safe pirated game. It's illegal. That part people usually know. What they rationalize away is the second problem. Cracked software is a favorite delivery method for malware, spyware, and keyloggers. This is motivated reasoning in action. You want the free software, so your brain quietly downgrades the risk assessment to match what you already decided to do, instead of the other way around. You're not being reckless on purpose. You're backfilling a justification after the decision's already made. Not exactly a great trade. Broken copyright law and your personal data for the price of a free download. 4. Reposting someone else's photos or videos. You see something funny. You save it. You repost it. It felt instant, so it feels harmless. But the original creator owns that content, and reposting without permission, even a screenshot, even a meme, can be a copyright violation.
Here's the blind spot. Once something is public online, your brain files it under public property instead of someone's property that happens to be visible. Ownership feels like it should require friction, a locked door, a price tag, and the internet removes all of that friction. So the feeling of ownership disappears, even though the legal fact of ownership doesn't. A little credit goes a long way. It costs you nothing, and it closes the gap.
5. Selling something you don't own yet. Ever seen someone selling concert tickets they haven't received? Or listing a pre-order before it's actually in their hands? Advertising something you don't currently own can be considered misleading, and in the wrong circumstances, it edges into fraud. This one usually isn't malicious. It's optimism bias. People aren't lying to scam anyone. They're just assuming the future will go exactly as planned. So selling the almost certain outcome feels the same as selling the real thing. The problem is, the law doesn't care about your confidence level. It cares whether you owned it when you sold it.
6. Using random Google images for thumbnails. If you make content, this one's for you. You need a thumbnail. You search Google. You grab a photo. Problem solved. Except most images online belong to someone, and using them commercially without permission can trigger copyright strikes or worse. This is habituation, the boiling frog effect. The first time a creator does this, it might feel like a small risk. The 10th time, with no consequences, it stops registering as a risk at all. Repetition doesn't change the legal exposure. It just turns down the volume on your alarm system. Royalty-free libraries exist for a reason. Use them.
7. Jaywalking and other small traffic violations. This one's almost funny because nearly everyone does it. Crossing outside the lines, glancing at your phone at a red light, tint that's a shade too dark. Small violations. Technically, still violations. This is social proof doing exactly what it evolved to do. When you see everyone around you doing something without consequence, your brain treats their behavior as data about how safe it is. If 10 people just jaywalked and nothing happened, the 11th crossing feels statistically safe, even though statistics have nothing to do with whether a cop happens to be on that corner today. Most of the time, nothing happens. Until the one day it does. 8. Collecting people's information without permission. Say you run a small business, a mailing list, even a school project, and you start collecting names and emails. Feels administrative, feels harmless. But privacy laws, GDPR being the big one, have gotten a lot stricter about consent, and harmless isn't a legal category. This is abstraction distance. Physically taking something from someone triggers a strong, visceral sense of, this isn't mine. Typing an email address into a spreadsheet doesn't trigger anything, because there's no physical object, no visible victim, no moment that feels like a violation, even when legally it is one. The less something feels like theft, the easier it is to do without noticing. 9. Using copyrighted music or movie clips in videos. Creators, pay attention here. A popular song under your video, a short movie clip, feels like a small addition. Copyright law disagrees, and platforms like YouTube run automated systems that scan for exactly this. This is moral licensing. I gave credit in the description, so it's basically fine. Crediting the source feels like it earns you permission, like a good deed cancels out the violation. It doesn't. The law cares about the license, not the etiquette. One claim can kill monetization. Repeated ones
can threaten the whole channel.
10. Secretly recording someone. Ever recorded a moment without telling the other person? A funny bit or an argument you wanted on the record? Depending on where you are, that can be illegal, even if you never share the recording. A lot of privacy laws focus on the act of recording without consent, not what you do with it afterward. This is self-serving justification. In the moment, you're not thinking, I'm violating someone's privacy. You're thinking, I have a good reason. Wanting proof, wanting a laugh, wanting the truth on your side. All of it feels like it earns you an exception. The law doesn't hand out exceptions for good reasons. It just asks whether you had consent. 11. Sharing your Netflix or Spotify password. This one stings a little because for years it felt completely normal. Everyone shared. Friends, families, roommates. Nobody thought twice. Technically, most streaming services prohibit it, and in some places it edges into unauthorized access. This is norm erosion. A rule can quietly stop feeling like a rule if enough people ignore it for long enough. The behavior didn't become more legal. It just became more common, and your brain reads common as acceptable, whether or not that's true. Companies are starting to close that gap. The behavior stayed the same. The consequences are catching up. 12. Reading someone else's messages. Last one, and it's the most personal. You borrow someone's phone. A notification pops up, or curiosity just wins. You open their messages. In many places, accessing someone's private communications without permission is legally unauthorized access, even if that person is your friend, your partner, your family. But the real damage here usually isn't legal. It's relational. This is where trust psychology comes in. The closeness of a relationship makes the boundary feel optional. We're close, so this doesn't really count. When in fact, closeness is exactly what makes the violation land harder if it's discovered. The law protects the communication. The relationship needed you to protect it too. So here's the pattern running under all 12 of these. None of them started with someone deciding to break the law. They started with a brain doing what brains do, normalizing the common, discounting the invisible, licensing the small stuff, trusting the crowd. That's really what this list is about. Not that you're secretly a criminal. It's that this feels fine and this is fine are two completely different questions, and most of us only ever check the first one. Knowing the psychology behind it doesn't make the behaviors legal, but it does make them a lot easier to notice in yourself and in everyone around you doing the exact same thing. Which one of these actually surprised you? Drop it in the comments. I'd bet almost everyone watching has done at least one of these today. If this changed how you look at your own habits, hit like. And if you like content that digs into the why behind ordinary behavior, subscribe and turn on notifications. Thanks for watching. Stay smart, stay curious, and maybe, now that you know the blind spot, stay a little more legal.